Matt's here for Sonicstate, and today we are looking at the Perkons HD-01 by Synths. This is a digital 4-voice drum machine stroke drone machine. I'll show you why it could be a drone machine in a little while. Comes complete with delay, compressor on the master, modulation, and this really interesting step sequencer here, which we're going to dive into more in a little bit. So in terms of the inputs and the outputs, you've got a clock in and a clock out, which is really cool. And then for each of the voices, you've got a output, a trigger in, and a send and return as well. So that allows you to actually send each of the voices out to some external outboard, bring it back, or maybe you just want to send it out to a mixer or something like that. And you've got that for all four. You then do have an SD card there, which allows you to save your patterns and your kits, your voices on and that kind of thing. You've got MIDI in and out, which it can receive MIDI clock, which is really cool, and MIDI automation over every single parameter, including the mode and the algorithm for each of the voices, which is really great. A master send and return, which allows you to replace the BBD with something else. And then you've got headphone out and a 1/4 inch output there, all in mono. There's no stereo action going on here. You've then got the built-in power supply there as well. Okay, let's dig in and hear some of the sounds here and see what they can do. Voice 1, very much focused on your kind of kick drum. Some super low end in this kick. Absolutely love this. I should say that for every voice you've got 3 different algorithms and 3 different modes per algorithm, so you've kind of got 9 different starting points. Algorithm 1, 2, 3, all quite different there, especially algorithm 3, and then depending on what mode you've got it on. You can get really quite different starting points, which you can then take wherever you want. So tuning, massive range there on the tuning, decay, no attack, and yes, that decay will stay infinite if you open it up, hence why I said this could be a drone machine. You've got these parameter dials here as well, and these are hardwired depending on what algorithm and what mode you're on, so you can't change those. Let's have a listen to what they're on here. So on algorithm 2 and algorithm 3, that brings in some kind of wave shaping. I love this kick, really nice. Parameter 2, that sounds to me like it's adding envelope to the pitch of voice 1. So you can go from very sort of straight 808 and add more of that in there. I should also mention that there's a filter per voice, and the filter is variable from low pass, band pass and high pass, and you've just got one cutoff dial. No resonance, so to my ears it sounds like it's a fixed resonance. And then you've got your drive. I like this drive because actually it retains a lot of the low end, whereas I find some distortions actually you lose that low end, but this, it retains it. Band pass filter, and high pass. And that high pass does disappear. That's good. So it will actually get rid of the sound completely. And then of course you've got your effect send, which sends to the BBD, and you've got your level, which sends to the master output. And that's it. That's it basically for each voice. That's your starting point. They are your 8 dials. your 3 different modes, your 3 different algorithms, and your choice of filter. It's very easy to go from that starting point and take the sound, you know, completely to somewhere else very, very quickly, which I absolutely loved playing around with since I've had this. Just very, very quickly, let's have a look at the other voices here, see what we've got on offer. Voice 2. Actually, we can hear that going to the BBD, and you notice that the effects send is on 0, which sends it to the BBD. The reason for that is because I saved this preset, this kit, with the effects send was probably somewhere like that. But obviously, since I've recalled it and I've changed that dial, it's still going to send the sound over to there. So something to bear in mind when you're loading presets and loading kits, your dials aren't going to move. They're not going to just change for you when you recall sounds up. So just be aware of that. If you do recall a sound and you had it going to the BBD, it's going to be there, isn't it? Really like this BBD though. You can go long mode. And just like any BBD on really, really long lengths, you're going to hear that kind of breaking up of the delay sound. Let's just change the color a little bit more. Just make that shorter. So it's very bright. So this switch, essentially what that does, it's just taking some of that brightness off, which is cool. Just quickly listen to voice 3. I'd say this is more snare orientated. You see how easy it was then, just by changing the algorithm, to go from snare to something like that, which is got this very sort of tight delay, almost Carplus Strong kind of vibe. I do notice that the bandpass is very, very narrow on this. Oh yeah, also to know, obviously if you take that out of the mix using the level on any of the voices, you can still send to the effects using this. And that send obviously is post anything that you do on here. And voice 4, a bit more hi-hat. Yeah, definitely a hi-hat kind of vibe. Although we've gone very bit crushed there within just changing the algorithm. sounds like an open hat. But with this one parameter, you can then just go into bit crush land. It's crazy. I love it. Hi-hat. And then look, we've just gone into algorithm 2. We've got this kind of very, very coupled strong. 8 dials per voice, 3 algorithms, 3 modes, and a choice of filtering, and that's it. But it's so radical the way that you can get one sound changing from another with a flick of a switch. It's also something to just be mindful of as well. When you do go through the different algorithms, some of them are going to be louder than others, so just be mindful of that. If you're playing out live, this is coming through a PA, you might get some sounds poking out a little bit too much more than others. Okay, let's jump into the step sequencer here. 16-step sequencer. The first one is for voice 1, second one for voice 2, voice 3, voice 4. Nice and simple. Simply just putting in different steps like this. Obviously, nice and easy. Change the tempo. If you do actually want to change the tempo and be very precise about that, you can actually hold down Shift and just move the tempo a little bit, and it gives you this display here, which is really interesting actually, because what it shows you is the tempo divided down, so you've got hundreds, tens and ones here. So this will be 170, 180 essentially, and if we move that all there, 181. 145. Nice and simple. So you can actually dial that in quite precisely. You can also get tempo derived from the sync in or the MIDI as well on the back, just in case you want to kind of sync it to anything. There's other ways you can put notes in as well. Obviously you can actually, instead of just doing it like this, you can also hit clear, get rid of all of that, hit record, and you can tap in the recording there as well. You can unmute tracks as well just by holding down Shift. Patterns can be stored easily as well. We've got patterns down here. All you do is simply hold down record, hit one of the steps, and you've saved the pattern into there. To recall it, just simply select one. And you'll notice that when I change between the patterns as well, it's quantized. It will wait until the end of the bar before it commits and changes the pattern for you. That's really cool, really helpful, keeps it nice and musical, obviously. In the same way as saving patterns, you can also save kits. You can switch between them just as easily. So what you might have noticed there is that the kits do change instantaneously, unlike the patterns which wait until the end of the bar before they change. That can be cool because it allows you to jam away with the different sounds and move between them really, really quickly. But you may want to have that safety that it waits till the end of the bar before it changes sounds, just to kind of link it in more musically. So I think I'd like to see that option in the menus, if possible, to kind of to either turn that on and off so it waits until the end of the bar before it changes the different sounds and the kits. So let's just delve into the step sequencer a little bit more, because it does more than just putting notes in. It actually allows you to play around with timing and groove and play modes and add modulation and all that kind of thing as well. So let's just mute all the tracks except for the kick drum. And if we hold down shift, we're now in shift mode, which allows us to divide, multiply, groove, play around with the groove, and the play mode of that row, of that voice, per voice. So right now you can see that all the voices are 1 times the tempo. So we can go twice, and this is just for the kick drum. I haven't changed for these 3. I'm just on this row. Go back to 1 times. You can go the other way, you can divide. So now we're divided by 2. Play around with the groove a little bit. And then you've got forwards, backwards, ping pong, and random for the play mode. So if we put it on ping pong, you'll now see it's ping ponging. We can put it on random, and you can see it moving around. Put it on forward. Let's put the groove back to as it was. In fact, we'll turn it off, and you'll see that we're all back in. So this can get really interesting when you've got a lot of voices going on. So let's play around with some of the timings here. Let's divide the hi-hats by 2. Let's divide this one by 3. And let's multiply this one by 2. Everything's playing at different timings. Now, one thing about this is that unfortunately, when you start playing around with those modes, what happens is that they go out of sync, not in terms of time, but in terms of starting point. Because what happens here is that when you hit that divide button, it's that very moment you hit divide, it seems to change the division. It doesn't wait until the end of the bar. So none of this is quantized. So what happens then is everything goes out of time. And I think I'd like to see that option in to kind of keep things in time. So when you are playing around with division and multiplication and moving things around, it does a reset, so then everything stays in time. Hopefully I've explained that clearly. And I keep talking about options. There is actually an option here. If you hold down shift and this button over here, you actually go into like the kind of hidden utility mode of the device, where you can change things like where your clock's coming from, or if you want to change the sound of the BBD, you can actually change the sound of the BBD from a kind of old school sound, or you can have it on this very kind of clean sound that we've been hearing so far. So yeah, I'd like to see more options added in here. Maybe it's something that they can do in the firmware. So one of the things that we have to do, if you've got this kind of erratic playing, is you'll have to hit the reset to put everything back in again. So let's put everything on the 1. You can see everything's slightly out of time. I mean, musically it's in time, but they're not all starting at the same point. So you have to hit reset. And now they're all in time. So yeah, just something to be mindful of. I don't think the division, the multiplication, the groove and all that is something that you can really add on in real time when you're playing live and expect to get away with it. I think these are things that really you're going to want to program and save, and that way you know that everything's going to stay in sync, essentially. Let's have a look at some more advanced things you can do with a step sequencer, namely automation. Yes, you can add automation, and I believe you can automate pretty much any parameter on here. Don't think you can automate the switches, but certainly the 8 dials. And it's really, really simple. If we just listening to the hi-hat here, we can open and close the decay, for example, on different steps. Just hold it down. There we go. Let's say we want the cut-off different on different steps. And it adds that bit of movement. Another way you can add automation, just hit record, and then anything you move on here is going to change. So again, let's play with that decay. And it already sounds really, really complex compared to what it was. Let's bring in voice 3. And send that to the delay. And we can automate that effect send as well. So we might want that effect send just on this one here. And with this voice, maybe we'll change the tuning. And a decay. So just with a little bit of automation there, it suddenly brings everything to life. The fact that you can automate those parameters so simply, variety of different ways there. Good stuff, Synths. Really, really like this. Okay, let's have a look at modulation. There's only one modulation source, and it's here. You've got the speed that you can control. You've got a waveform that you can choose, which is sweepable from a variety of different waveforms. And you've got the level. Modulation could be synced to the BPM of the tempo, or it can run freely. Let's leave it synced. So if we change the speed of that, it's going to be divisions of the tempo, obviously. And to jump into modulation mode, hit mod, and then what it allows you to do is select where you want to send the modulation to. So we've got tune, decay, parameter 1, parameter 2, VCF, the drive, the effect send, and the level. So that one's for voice 4, that one will be for 3, that one again for 2, and that one for 1. Nice and easy. So let's send that modulation to the decay of voice 4, and let's go quite extreme. Let's say like 80% of that. Hit play, and that is now controlling the decay. Try a different waveform. That's with the level down. We can introduce a little bit. And again, it just adds that movement. Now let's go with voice 2. Just come out of modulation there. And voice 2, let's just turn it on. And let's play around with the tuning on that voice. So let's go to modulation. Voice 2, which is this row, and we want the tuning, which is on, and let's go to about 60% of that. I've just changed the modulation. And as you can hear, it's affected voice 4 and voice 2. But I kind of like that. We change the modulation again. So there you go. The modulation is actually pretty powerful, very simple to use. And like I said, right at the beginning of this video, those 9 starting points that you've got for the voices, as you can see, using the modulation and using the kind of automation that you've got within this, and it's so simple to use, you can take those sounds into a variety of different places and really, really mess them up. But then you can also bring them back again just by loading up that pattern or that kit. So it's all quite messy, and then you can just go back to your preset. So another thing that you could do with the automation, of course, is use one of the voices to kind of do a kind of more melodic line. So here with voice 2, which is just playing kind of almost along with the kick drum, if we solo that, if we put that in record and play around with the tune, you can get kind of melodies out of it. And that, I guess, makes you think about it in a completely different way. Rather than just being a drum machine, suddenly start thinking, well, I can get melodies out of this. I can even get drones by opening up the decay time on all of the voices here. In fact, let's have a go at doing that. While we've got this playing, let's just open up the decay and let's take the tempo down. And you can suddenly get this different thing out of this. We'll take everything out the dry mix. Oh, in fact, I've had this in record actually, so it's now recorded everything that I've just been doing there. Which is quite cool actually, quite like it. And we've got this real drone machine. Just brightened up the feedback there on the, brightened up the delay. Okay, one more thing is ratcheting and the odds of a sound playing. Again, really easy to do here. Voice 3, I don't know, we've got this kind of snare. Choose the step that you want the ratcheting to occur. Hold that down. We've got ratcheting selected here, and then you can go ratchet twice, or 3 times, 4 times, or 5 times. So it's ratcheting 4 times there. Let's do it twice. Let's put that one on 4. There we go. And then, like I said, there's also the odds of a sound playing, not the probability. There is probability on here, which is, you know, a percentage of how many times out of 100 is this sound likely to play. You've actually got the odds of a sound playing, which is different. It basically allows you to go, I want you to play every 2 times round or every 3 times round. And you can actually combine probability and the odds of something playing as well to come up with more, I guess, more interesting and more intricate kind of patterns as well. and it makes them sound more complex when actually they're very simple. So with that in mind, we've got some hi-hats playing down here. And we can say, I want these ones to play odds. I want them to play every twice around. Choose some more. So once around, it'll play them all. And the other way around, it'll play every 2. And then you can choose some others, and you can just go, these will play every 4 times. And in terms of probability, you can then go, well, I want these ones to the probability of those playing is 50%. And the probability of these ones playing is maybe 25%. And you've suddenly got a much more kind of interesting, moving pattern. Same with the kicks. If we put another kick in here, and we can say the odds of that kick playing is going to be every 4 times. And here it is. And you've got odd odds as well, so you can say every 2 out of 3, every 3 out of 4, every 4 out of 5, and every 7 out of 8 as well. So all of these are accessed on these buttons, I should say, just looking at the menus above them. So with those hi-hats, again, we can choose some more, and we can go the odds 2, and we can go every 2 out of 3 times for those, and for these ones, every 7 out of 8 times. And for these ones, every 3 out of 4. And the same with the kind of snare sound that we've got going on here. The probability of that one, let's go 50%. And the probability of that one playing, let's go 25%. Turn the ratcheting down on that one a bit. There we go. So yeah, tons of ways to come up with musical ideas and patterns and the automation and the modulation. And it's all very hands-on. It's so simple to find your way around. The muscle memory is very, very quick and easy to get hold of. Navigating's just wonderful. It's a joy to use, I must admit. And more than anything, I think it sounds fantastic. Particularly that kick drum, the BBD is really good. We haven't really played around with the compressor too much today, which I should say, by the way, the attack and the decay on that is set. We've just done it on 50% basically today, just to glue some of those sounds together. The fact that you can take some of the sounds, well, in fact, all the voices out of this machine as well into a mixing desk is brilliant. It allows you to process them further. If you want to pan them, then you can, because obviously this is just a mono output. That's all you're getting on this. So do bear that in mind. It's not really a problem for me. I think the key thing that I look for in something like this is the variety of sounds that I can get out of it, how quickly I can get those sounds, and also just that functionality as well. I love the fact that I can get so much out of this without having to jump into a menu, and that's absolutely brilliant. For some of you though, you might struggle trying to remember, you know, what did I do on this one and what did I do on that one, and is this probability on, and that is because you do have to hold down shift, but like I say, once you get there with the muscle memory, I think you start remembering these things rather quickly and without issue. The dials are just a joy to use. They feel great as well. And the step sequence of buttons are as well. And I love the way they kind of sit flush. So it's not too easy to accidentally press them. You know, you have to commit. So you're not going to do any kind of accidental knocks or anything like that. So do I like it? Yes, I like it a lot. I really do like this. I think it sounds great. And in fact, I'd be really happy with this cut in half without the step sequencer. That could fit into something like this because I just love the voices. And I think that I could get away without needing that sequencer and to sequence it from, I don't know, something like I've got already in my Eurorack that can send triggers out to it. Having said that, the sequencer on this is really interesting. It's really easy to use and it's very, very effective. So I'm going to get back to jamming on this because I'm having a lot of fun. If you've got any questions, anything that I haven't answered here, do put it in the comments below and I'll try and get back to you as soon as you can. Thanks for listening. Cheers.